Hello, I am Brandon Weston. I'm going to be going over Hawaiian culture and more specifically their views on death and the afterlife and whatnot. So let's get started. I found an article from Academia, and in it is all about Hawaiian culture, the different dimensions, different aspects, and how it's all blended together from the other cultures that have gone to the island as well. So, when death occurs, every person who knew the individual grieves in their own way, whether we know it or not. Our surrounding culture reinforces certain practices for coping with everyday life. So, in some cultures, death is a celebration of their loved ones, meeting their creator and seeing past relatives and friends. In others, grief over bereavement is commonplace. It is experienced by those losing a loved one and the loved one dealing with their own losses in life, like future family experiences and things they'll be missing out on. So, according to Panagiotis Pinateris in his peer reviewed article, he states on page 3 that Hawaii is unique in that it is made up of a unique blend of cultural perspectives grouped as either Kama'aiana, or native born, ethnic or non ethnic Hawaiian, and the Mahlehini, or newcomer. So, in the article, he cites the U.S. Census Bureau data for the years of 2000, 2005, and 2010 regarding ethnic comparisons of the United States compared to Hawaii. So those percentages are listed as follows. Whites at 24.7%, Black and African American at 1.6%, American Indian and Alaskan Native at 0.3%, Asian at 38.6%, Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders at 10%, and two or more races at 23.6%. And last but not least, Hispanic or Latino at 8.9%. So, if we want to be extremely specific about it, we could get into all the different aspects and perspectives each of those cultures bring and tie into the island, how those have molded the island. But for the time allotted, I think it'd be best to stick with just the native islanders and their beliefs. So, let me see. On page 9, Penteris writes, Native Hawaiians view death and the grief process as something self-sufficient, time-wise, to express goodbyes and graces to the deceased. It is a process that has its own pace, and no one can hurry that. He goes on to speak about how uniquely natives express their grief, and those go in the forms of wailing, chanting various rituals, physical degradation of the mourner, or other acts of unusual grief, burial practices, and last but not least, the ohana. So, and I quote, the ohana is a family and extended family gathering where process and storytelling have been historically and still are two of the major ways people in Hawaii express their grief. The process is seen carried out in different support systems of the household and between different family members, and the storytelling part is the next crucial step, as bringing up old memories and fond stories about the loved one tends to keep the spirit alive, as he puts it, um, when dealing with the grief of the new absence. In the past, the Islanders used to have family-only gatherings in the house where they would sit and tell stories and memories of the deceased, just kind of the same thing. But it is part of their tradition that when the dead body, or that the body will be buried with certain rituals and customs, but it's fully believed that the soul will remain and escort the gods here on this planet. So it goes on to mention how cremation is usually never really acceptable, and burials usually fill their place. So years after the family will unbury their loved one to retrieve the bones thought to be sacred. So this is why cremation is usually forbidden. You won't have that left over. So the bones are kept because Hawaiianers believe every individual has mana, or a source of divine power energy that resides within the bones themselves. So Penteris writes that after religious ceremonies and rituals, prayer is used to establish communication to the recently deceased, who now reside in the form of spirit here. So ancient Hawaiians believed that these spirits used to shape events, had the power to inflict injury if directed or angered, and could be approached and persuaded to act in one's behalf. Today, more common thought falls along the lines that death connects the person to past family members and death is seen as a way to move to a higher level after death, so natives don't typically mourn the process. Family also believes in seeing signs from the loved one in various forms like rainbows, turtles, sharks, flowers, warm sunshine, nice days, flower maybe falling through the window and landing by a picture frame of the loved one who's just passed. Just small signs like that. So traditionally speaking, that was more information along the lines of past traditional Native Islander practices. So moving on to traditional practices held today, Hawaiianers have the option to do more traditional burials or more modern ones that you'd see more commonplace anywhere. But some people may choose traditional funeral services, which can be conducted at churches, funeral homes, gravesites, and private homes, etc., wherever the family really wants to have it, wherever it's more meaningful to them. So, like past traditions, the modern islanders still conduct rituals for the preparation of the body, burial process, and mourning procedure. Um, More modern views have shifted the focus from becoming spirits in the modern world to just wishing peace for the dead in the afterlife, so to speak. So, like mentioned before, chants are sometimes used to commemorate a person's death. Some chants are more personal, supposed to portray the writer's loss, be more subjective to their feeling, how they're trying to move their message. But these chants tell stories about aspects of life that they cherish from the dead, as well as the things that bring the family and the friends together over the loved one they just lost. Traditionally, skeletons were found bonded by the hands and feet in a fetal position, representing the beliefs of the rebirth or reincarnation. Um, but nowadays, like mentioned above, before, we see more typical uh, traditional funeral processes and procedures. So, interesting enough, every Memorial Day, a lantern ceremony is held in Honolulu, Hawaii, to thank the lives of the people who made an impact for us, to pay tribute to the ones they loved, people they lost in the present year. So this event is not just specific to the island; it is worldwide. People come from all over to come to this ceremony. It's a huge beach ceremony where individuals come. They can decorate their lanterns in pictures and writings, prayers, last messages to their loved ones to be released. So yeah, they're decorated with pictures, messages. And it's one, like I said, it's one last prayer, one last goodbye for the embarked family member, and for them really to give them a hope for a better life in the afterlife. This helps those in grief say one last time, one sentimental goodbye, and for them to be at peace with their loss. So as you can see, Hawaiianers have moved from past practices to more traditional ones, as we'd see more in the mainland of America, just from the cultural integration that has happened throughout the years. But as you see, I can still see there are practices that are still commonplace and held in Hawaii. So it really is depending on the family and their beliefs, their roots, and what the family really wants to do, because all culture is different. Like I said previously, the island is just meshed with different cultures and different percentages. So hopefully you enjoyed this presentation. I had a good time researching it, talking about it, and maybe that gives you more of an insightful look into Hawaiians and their views, past views and present views on death. So thank you so much.